Greetings, my name's Dwayne, and for years I've been asked to do girl gnomes, and it's been something that I have not been too proficient in. So I've started to do some work on them and come up with a way of doing the dress for the girl gnomes, the dress and the shawl. So what I want to do with this video is just concentrate on that. I'm not going to make a full girl gnome, but at least show you, get the basics on doing the dress and the shawl. And I think that's the main thing too, is getting that in there. Later on, I will do a video on doing some legs for her too, because with the dress, you have to have coverage there. And we'll get into doing some, hopefully, different hats and everything. This was a special gnome I did for a special purpose, but I want to show you what I do, how I make it, give you some simple advice, and then I'm sure you guys can take it from there and do some beautiful stuff. And what I do for the girl gnomes is I use a cone. I start out with the cone base rather than my felt base because of adding the legs. I find it easier to work with a cone to do that with. So these are 6-inch cones. The 6-inch cones you can actually get from almost any place, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's. I've been getting them in the 2-packs here. They run about $2, $2.25. You can also get them in the floral foam. So you have your choice there. Either way works fine for the gnome there. So I'm going to use the foam for my body, and I'm just going to cover my body. I have a basic pattern that I use, I cut out. It's just a simple way of doing it. And I use my 9x12 piece of felt, place it on there, and then actually just trace around and cut out a piece. You can pin it down if you like, however you want to do that, but I'm just going to cut out my piece there. That's going to be my cover. And then also for the top there, well, for the bottom cover on the gnome there, I have a circle. So I'm just using one piece of felt there for my coverage there. So I've cut that out. Let me put this aside here. And throw that aside here for a moment too. And the trick here, I've shown this in other videos too, is not to start on the edge as far as gluing the cone down, because what happens is you roll it around and it comes off. What you want to do is start in the center. Line it up in the center, bring it around. We're going to glue that down. And I designed this too in case you get like the dollar store or Dollar Tree cones. Those are a little bit bigger. They're about 6.9 or 6.5. So I designed this a little bit longer so it actually can work with those cones. And what I want to do is wrap it around. Bring it down. So this is covering my cone, which we're not going to see most of it when we're done anyways, but and when I do the girl gnome, that's going to be actually, the seam's going to be in the back of that, and that's going to be covered. Now in order to do the base, I cut down almost to the cone there. I may be rushing this a little bit, but as I said, I've done this on other videos, so if you've done where you've covered the cone, you should be able to follow along with that. But it also can be done, of course, any of my patterns. I try to do stuff that can be done with other type of bodies too. So if you want to do it with a pool noodle or a sock, you can do it. Like I said, I do it with the cone because of adding the legs to it. It makes it a lot easier to do it for stability there. Also, I'm not having to add the weight. That's always a big issue. Everybody's, debates whether to use the sand, the pellets, rice, whatever you want to use to fill. I don't have to on here. The only thing is when she's standing is I do put a little bit of weight into the shoes and the legs. The legs, I do something a little bit different with that, which again, I'll get into another time. on how I put the legs together, because I'm sure that's going to be a big question too. So I'm just folding that over. And then just adding my base onto there. Now I'm probably would put more around the circle there, but again, for time wise, I'm just showing you how I cover my cone, trying to keep it simple there, get it covered. Next part I do is the top of her dress. Cut one out here already to show you and get you an idea here. It's two pieces. I have the top, and then I have a bottom piece here that I put together. So what I want to do is I take a piece of, this is wool. I recommend usually either using wool, felt, fleece. Those look good to work with. If you want to use cottons or other fabrics, you can. But what I find too is that when I'm cutting stuff out like that, I end up having to put hems into it so that it doesn't fray. And with that, you either have to do, glue it down, glue it over, or sew it. So by using the wool, by using fleece, by using the felt, I can get straight corners without worrying about it fraying. So my top part here, and I'm just going to give you an idea here. I'm going to write things down so you can see and know my measurements and everything here. I cut out a piece that's 4 inches. Going the width up here, and then across here is 7.5 inches. So I got my 4 inches by 7.5 inches. This is going to go around the top part of my cone. Now I go in. Grab my ruler here, show you. I go in 3 inches across the top, mark it, and then another 1.5 inches across. So what I'm doing basically is finding my center in here. But I got 3 inches across, then 1.5 inches, so I go up to 4.5 inches, and that gives me 3 inches on the other side of this. Then, with that 1.5 marked off, I'm going to go down 2 inches. So I'm going over 3 inches. I know I should have told everybody to get paper and pen and have it ready to write down measurements and everything here, but you can always go back and rewatch. So I'm going over 3 inches, then I go down 2 inches. Likewise, after 1.5 inches, so like I said, 1.5 inches here, I'll go down 2 inches, and then another 1.5 inches there. So I'm cutting out this rectangle in the middle here. I'm just going to grab my scissors. Now you can mark that any way you want, using all sorts of sewing pens, all the stuff that disappears, ink pens, however you have, whatever you have. I'm actually have not broken into my wife's stash in a while as far as that. So I'm just quickly using an ink pen here and drawing out 3 inches, 1.5 inches crossed here, 2 inches down, again, 1.5 inches crossed here. That's going to get me my top here of the dress. And what I did on the other one there was I went and I want my seam to be right in the back there. So since it's not going to show, I marked my center point right across from the seam. And that way I can lay this across the top there. Now the back side's not going to show, it's going to overlap some here. What I'm more concerned with is making sure I'm centered here with this, and that my sides come up here to the top. And that's where I'm going to start my gluing. I'm going to make sure I have that glued. This is the part that's going to show is the front, so I want to make sure that's glued down first and in place before I glue anything else. Come around. Again, I'm lining up. Now here's where, again, my cuts might be a little jagged, or you might have something where you say, okay, I don't like the edge or something. I cover this up with lace, so you're not going to see my cuts in here anyways. If anything, I always say I like to cover up most of my seams. I like to cover up things that are going to show, make them a little bit fancier, and that's where you're going to add your details to it. So just coming around to the back. If you want to be particular, you can cut off the trim here a little bit just to line it up a little bit more. And I'm just going to glue that down. So that's going to give me the top of the outfit there. And as I said, I got basically cutting out a 4-inch by 7.5 inch in length there. The bottom piece, again, there's no real tricks to this or anything. It's just simple doing pieces here, cutting them out. Bottom piece is a little bit longer and a little bit wider. I'm looking at 5 inches on my side. And then across the top, it's a total of 16 inches. So I got 5 inches by 16 inches. And this is going to be the skirt part. So that's going to end up being my skirt. It's going to be 5 inches by 16 inches. And now I'm just going to make a stitch going across the top here. Let me grab some needle and thread. And one of the tricks here too is to make sure you have a good knot on the end there, or at least start at the end with something in there real tight, because you're going to be pulling this through. So I want to make sure I got something that's not going to pull all the way through. I've done that before where I've grabbed it and pulled and gone farther through. So you want to make sure it's tight at the very end there before you get started. And you're going to go down about a 1/4 inch. And you're just going to do just a simple in and out stitch. In and out, up and down, front to back, however you want to call it. And like I said, do about a 1/4 inch down. Pull it through there. And you're going to go all the way across the top. All we're going to need to do, 1/4 inch down, up and down. So even if you say, well, I'm not a person that sews, it's just a simple straight across stitch there. We don't have to use a sewing machine or anything. And what we're going to do then is start gathering it by pulling that string. You're going to see how this comes together. I'm going to show you a little bit more here, and then we'll probably switch out to a piece I've already sewn across here, but just going up and down. And there's probably other people that know better techniques than I do or know names of how to do this and everything. I'm just doing the basic here, and you guys can do the professional stuff there. So I'm pulling that string now, that thread, and gathering that together, bunching that together. And so I've did another one here where I put the thread all the way through. And again, I'm bunching it up here. This is going to give me my skirt. And I wrap my skirt around, again, trying to center it here a bit. So I can go around to the other side here, tighten it up a bit. And what I want is a little over an inch hanging over the bottom there. Just a little over the inch, because I'm going to add some little legs there and going to add some feet to it, some shoes. You can make it a little bit longer if you want. If you want to bring it down, give it more in the front here, you can do that too if you're going to make your legs longer. However you want to do that, somewhere at least an inch. If you want to go 2 inches, you can go 2 inches to give you more up front here. However you want to do that, what I try to do is make sure I have about an inch showing up top here for her dress here. Now that I've gathered it together, I'll pull it just a little bit tighter here. And then sew my 2 sides together. I'll also glue the seam once I get it all made too. So I sew the 2 pieces together in the back here once I've pulled it tight, and then knot it off in the back. Just do something quickly there for you. And this can be adjusted a little bit too, moved up and down a little bit. That's going to give me my 2 basic pieces for my dress there. You see, put it right together there. Now comes the fun part too, is adding on to it. What I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to add my arms on. And my arms, I usually use the same color as I did the base there. So I'm going to add my arms right onto the sides, right up top there, because the tops are going to be covered by a hat and also by the hair. Now the hair is going to be of your choice too, whether you do braids or whether you do faux fur. Again, I'm going to have to work on trying to come up with another video to show putting together hair, because I know that's going to be a question too, is how to do that. And so I'm just adding my arms here. And these are just my standard arms, the same things that I've done with all my other patterns and everything, same arms. And I'm just gluing them on the outside here. Putting her together here. All right. As I said, now I like to glue this seam together here, the back of the dress. We'll just glue that down together. With the dark colors, the wools, the fleeces, sometimes that comes out looking nice just as it is. I don't have to worry about having all my seams showing or anything. Everything looks nice on the back there. I always get a lot of people that ask me if they can see the back of a project too. So just to show that everything's looking neat and orderly there too. From there, we do as far as decorating. You can do almost anything. You can put a little ribbon around here for a belt or belt on there. There's all different types of things here. I'm going to show you a couple different things here, and then you can decide how you want to do it. If you just take a ribbon, if you take some lace, put it around here. Also, I do that for the top part here too. I can put something on here. That's why I said earlier, as far as cutting out, I can put something to cover that up to make that look nice there. Just go around and glue that on there. I have several different types of laces, and that's what I've just done on there, is added that. But first, let me show you one other thing, the shawl on the back, the shawl, how I've done that. And again, it's just a simple piece. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not, the clothing I'm showing you is just basic rectangles, and then doing some simple cutting. So the shawl itself, I do 4.5 inches. I know I'm doing a lot of writing here. So the shawl is 4.5 inches by 12 inches. Gives me a piece there. And once again, if you're doing something where you're having cotton or something that's going to fray, you'll want to make a hem on it. Turn it over, sew it down, or glue it down. I just like, again, using the wools or using fleece for that. And I'm going to put it right across the back there. So I'm centering her on here. And I'm going to actually glue right at the top there so I have it in the center. Now this comes around to the arm, and what I do is I fold up the bottom. Because it's coming around here, I fold up the bottom, and then this corner here gets tucked around under the arm. So again, just to show you, it's laying on here. I take the bottom part, fold it up, and then tuck the bottom underneath the arm. That's going to give me my basic shawl. I'm going to glue the part that I tucked down underneath. Be careful not to get it on the dress there. Just glue it down underneath the arm, wrap it around. Get my glue strings off of there. And then I'm going to take the other side and do the same thing. Fold that up from the bottom. And then wrap it around there. You may get away with doing more of a 10-inch or 11-inch on the side there, so you don't have as much folding underneath there. The first couple ones I did, just found out that 12 inches just seemed to be my good length to do that with. Need to add more glue to my glue gun there. Again, make sure you're not hitting on the dress there. And then might have to just, you also may want to go back and just glue the top part down there if you like. But that gives me my basic. Here's my dress, my shawl. I've wrapped it around there. I like how the arms show off here. And then here's where, again, I can put the lace into this. I can put the lace around here. I like the bunched up look here, but I wouldn't do all of them with a bunched up look. I would do something where I put a ribbon across there or a lace. The other thing is too, if I wanted to do fancy lace, let's see if I can grab one up here for underneath. I can glue a lace underneath the dress here to give it, again, more character, more of a feminine look to it. Adding the lace there, adding lace up top, lace around the side there. I'm just experimenting. I'm just starting. I've probably only done about a handful, if that, of girl gnomes. So I just wanted to give you some guys some quick ideas, some simple ways that I get started. And I most of the time just tell you I'm going to give you the basics and see how you create from there, because I'm sure you guys can do more beautiful work. You guys can take it from there, do things, add the embellishments, take from what you've learned there to make the basic, and then grow it from there and just make some beautiful gnomes. I hope this helps out with the girl gnomes. Again, we'll talk later about adding other things, accessories to it. If you're looking at, okay, well, this is the body, yes. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put the nose right on top here. You're gonna glue a nose in here, and the hair is gonna come down here, and the hat, just to give you the basics on how I do that. And again, I'll come up with another video, I'm sure, along the line here, showing the legs, showing different types of hats and hairs that we can do. But I wanna just give you the basics there on how I make a simple dress and the shawl there. And thank you, and I hope that works out well for you.